Thanks for tuning in to Solo PR Pro. Please remember to like and subscribe. Hi, Solo PR Pros. Today I want to talk about the new California Bill AB5. We discussed this before it was signed into law last year on the That Solo Life podcast. And I think it's really important to alert all independents about this bill, whether or not you live in California. It's already started to impact people who don't live in the state but do business with organizations in California. So if you're not familiar with AB5, it was signed into law and it became effective on January 1st of this year. And it's basically a bill that California developed that helps to determine whether California workers are employees or they're independent contractors. A little bit of background on this issue. Misclassification of employees has been a huge problem for a very long time. And what that basically means is that companies will sometimes try to take advantage of the laws by using people as an employee but not paying them employee benefits. And so people are required to clock in and clock out to work on site, and they're treated in every other way like an employee, but they don't get employee benefits such as health insurance and workers' compensation insurance, overtime pay, and any other benefits that are due if you were an employee. So it was a way for people to kind of get around using people as an employee but getting the benefits without paying more money. That is an issue. And as a solo PR professional and as someone who leads a membership organization, I want workers' rights to be protected. But I've said from the beginning that in my opinion, and I'm not an attorney, and I want to make this clear, this is not legal advice. While I'm not an attorney, I never agreed with the approach of this particular bill. For one, I think it fails to realize the nuances of independent workers. And so this is completely penalized people who choose to work as independents, such as writers and creatives. They do not want to work for a single employer. And I think that there needs to be more work done across the country to understand the different levels of working independently and to not necessarily have legislation, but education about those different levels. Yes, protections, but honestly, I'd really rather see the government, if they were going to intervene, to make things a little bit easier for independents. But that's a topic for another day. So that's kind of the background of AB5 or of misclassification. And so this bill was designed supposedly to really ensure that employers were not misusing this and calling somebody an independent contractor so that they didn't have to pay them and give them benefits when really they should have been classified as an employee. As a result, a lot of organizations have just said it's too complex, forget it. We're just not going to use independents at all. And so I know I know personally of some professionals that have been affected by this. The reason that we're calling this to your attention is because it's super important for you to understand AB5, whether or not you live in California. And honestly, whether or not you have clients in California, because other states are looking at this type of legislation. So be aware, get educated. There is something in California called the Borrello test. Become familiar with that and understand, because as independent public relation professionals, we definitely should pass the test and not have any problems with companies hiring us. So you can go to sites like nolo.com. There are also attorneys and legal websites that will spell out these classifications and the exemptions and help you to personally make sure that you qualify. Across the country, to make sure that you're not putting yourself or your client at risk of fines and misclassification, here are a few things that you can watch out for. Number one, have a written contract with every single client and every single project. Your contract does not have to be 22 pages long. It can be a letter of agreement, but it needs to spell out the terms of work. Number two, make sure that you have other clients and that you're marketing yourself to other clients. One of the long-standing tests of being an independent is that you are free to perform your work in your way, that you're not required to work on a client's location, that you are free to do business with other people. So in other words, you truly want to act like a business. Set yourself up as a corporation. Talk to your attorney, your accountant, so that you can pick the best legal structure for you. Many solo PR pros either do LLC or they'll set themselves up as a C Corp. This definitely will make you stand apart from people that are simply freelancing and receiving 1099 income. You know, I've known independents where it does get a little blurry, where they have these clients and the clients are paying them by retainer and they're basically acting as almost an employee of that company. They have an office in the client's office and they go there all the time. That's really something that you should try to stay away from. Now, if you're hired as a consultant to fill in, for example, for somebody that's off on medical leave, or maybe you're filling in for a vacant position and they've hired a consultant instead of an employee, I would again run it past your attorney to make sure that you set it up in a way that's going to be legal and not put the client at risk, and you still should be able to perform work for other clients. Again, I'm not an expert, I'm not an attorney, so these are, what I'm determining and what I know from working with companies that specialize in helping both organizations and employers to avoid misclassification lawsuits, and have advised them. So I do know quite a bit in this area, but I just want to encourage each and every single one of you to make sure that you understand AB5, that you do your own research, and that you talk to your own counsel to make sure that you're setting things up properly. And then take the next step and be proactive about educating your marketplace so that they have the comfort of knowing that they are in compliance with the laws. This is a serious issue, and we are going to do our part to try and advocate for independent contractors, as well as get the word out and to educate the marketplace on independent public relations professionals and what our role is and how they can utilize us and be in compliance, because we don't want to jeopardize the livelihood of any of your businesses. So if you have information that can help us to help you, please feel free to share that. If there are any attorneys who are listening and you'd like to educate our community about this law and some of the practical steps that they could take, we love to hear from you. And we will do our part. As we learn more, we will share more. Thank you so much, and please, we ask that you would share this content with others in your community, other independents, and definitely let your voice be known if you're in California about this bill, how it's affecting you. Be active, be vocal, because what you do is going to help all of the rest of us across the country. Thank you so much for tuning in to Solo PR Pro. Don't forget to visit our website at soloprpro.com. We also post about this issue again as we get new information, and check out our podcast, That Solo Life, anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Thank you.